Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, go ahead. Come on up.
Morning, news.
Morning.
All right. Call the meeting to order, and we'll take a motion for the minutes and agenda.
A motion to approve agenda minutes.
So, second
I'll second it.
discussion, and none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Rich.
Morning. Just a little bit of discussion, I guess. There's not much to talk about right now. Cold weather, everything. We're just kind of servicing equipment, making sure it's ready to go. We kind of briefly hinted, a little bit about our fuel system at the secondary road shop in Northwood here and how bad it is. So we're getting some quotes on some pump systems, but as maybe indicated earlier, secondary roads doesn't need that expensive of a system to operate. We've been operating it, and the schools have been using the fuel, the sheriff's department, a couple other entities have been using the system. And then we document, the meters once a month and bill out accordingly, but we don't need that system, and it's getting to be expensive now to maintain. It's an old system, so anything we do, if we need to fix it now, we can't get parts for it. So we're looking at getting a quote for a newer system, but I don't know if it's in the best interest of us, the secondary road department, to invest in a new system that has a key control or a card control or whatever, especially if not that we couldn't move the system if we found the right place to relocate in the future. Who knows how long that'll be, but is it worth spending that kind of money on a system where we theoretically don't even need to monitor the gallons that we're pumping through. We order the gallons and we know how much we order every year. We estimate how much is in the tanks. We don't need a detailed metering system to monitor that. But anyway, just for you guys' update, I did send an email to the schools in Northwood, the superintendent, and asked him if they had plans for any sort of a fuel station for when they got their new facility, and wanted to kind of put my dig in on them, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's where that's at. We're just gonna get some numbers and see. I don't know what it's gonna cost, but we're having pump problems, and I know in the summertime, what Dan and I have discussed too, is probably vapor lock in the system somehow, but the key control itself, sometimes the keys get fidgety and the switches inside the box are kind of finicky and tired and wore out. And so we'll just see what happens. But we as secondary roads don't need a fancy system. We need a pump for the diesel, a pump for the gas, flip a switch and don't. We don't need to monitor as closely unless the board wants us to start monitoring how many gallons are going, each person's filling up. I mean, we can do that.
Well, within the roads department, I don't think you need to.
Well, I mean, unless people are worried about how much this truck is using for fuel and this and that, I mean, the guys are filling out fuel tickets, and they're supposed to be filling out their logs and their vehicles anyway, that they turn in their fuel tickets, and we know how many gallons they're pumping in anyway. They're getting used to that. But anyway, just wanted to kind of put that up for you guys to think about, or let you know what we're thinking about here in secondary roads as far as the fuel system go. The the Manly one, I think, is still working okay. I haven't heard any issues with it, but it's getting old too. So
Same system, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not much left there.
anyway, I'm gonna be gone after tomorrow.
Okay.
See if I can find some snow in Wisconsin. So
There's a little.
anyway, I don't have much for you right now. I know the budget and stuff's been turned in. What I'm doing right now with the budget is I know how much I can spend in construction. Now I'm just trying to figure out that I'm working on the DOT side of things now with the program, what we got for projects. And since we've got a bridge inspection that was just completed, we don't have the DOT program due until April 15th. So I've got this window of opportunity for when they submit the bridge reports and everything else. What I'll tell you is our funding doesn't look that great. We're already borrowed ahead in the bridge fund. The farm to market fund is teetering on whether we'll have enough. I need to keep, right now we've got kind of planned, and I had I think I might have mentioned this last week, we have a big plan to try to do Thrush and 390th. Thrush is the project that we're using the federal aid money on, or not federal swap money, where we're having the farm market. So Thrush is the one that's programmed for 23, 390th. Might have to be held off unless, and I'm not going to say unless we find a different local funding source to do the projects, we're going to have to put it on hold until the farm to market fund builds up. And like I mentioned to you guys a few weeks ago, we still are trying to iron out the balances between Mitchell and Worth County on that county project, where we might even lose more money in the farm to market fund because we got to pay Mitchell County back. Like I said, I thought that had been taken care of through the letters that I got, and I don't think it has been yet. So we're also carrying a balance of some funding that we did on Thrush South from 9 North to 390th that we haven't turned in for reimbursement. So there's money in there, and it's already kind of obligated in our funds to show that we are obligated that money, whether it goes to Mitchell County or it comes back to us. We're still working on that. I've been working on the budget part of things, so I'll work on the farm to market thing later. But as far as programming goes, things are really tight with the bridge money and the farm to market money. So unless we want to discuss in the future some TIF,
Well, we've
I'm not
discussed-
gonna bring, I mean, I know how delicate TIF is with everything, but if we want road repairs done, we either gotta start doing some. We've been doing a lot of concrete overlays, and I believe that the concrete overlays are gonna last us a long time. Forget about the 4-inch overlay stuff we did years ago that seems to have its issues. This newer stuff, this thicker fiber reinforced stuff is probably gonna last us a lot longer and have less issues. But with the funding we have now, we're looking at cheap, I don't want to use the word cheap, but lower cost asphalt techniques that give us a good driving surface. But what we tend to see with asphalt is about 15 to 20 years, you've got to do something because it oxidizes, whether we start trying more fog seals to seal the surface up, or I don't want to even use chip seals. They don't always bond very well to the existing, but I mean, lower cost alternatives is what we've got to start looking at if we're not gonna find a funding source other than farm to market. So, I mean, right now we've got on the slate to do Wheelerwood North from 105 to the state line. That's gonna be a mill and fill, so that's only gonna be 1.5 inches or 2 inches of mill off and replace. We're gonna try to use that high pro surface again to see how long that stuff lasts for us. We've got some over by the Grafton area now. We're kind of got another year on that. So
Is that what that road is, about 15 years old now, Wheelerwood?
I think it's older than that.
Could be over now.
Oh, that north part is older than that.
Even south.
It's probably, yeah.
20?
They're probably both pushing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember. Yeah, so I mean, we got Thrush, we've got 390th, we still have Raven, we still have Wheelerwood South. I mean, there's a lot of other asphalt roads that are gonna need attention. And to back up a little bit, our bridge funding is down. They changed the way they rate the bridges. It used to be good, okay, and poor or something like that. Now they're just yes or no.
Either pass or we don't.
And so that changed a few things, but we're also, I don't want to say we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but every time we fix a bridge, we take that square footage out of the deficient area, so that our funding is based on deficient square footage of bridges. So every time we fix something and nothing goes bad, our funding starts dropping.
Well, that's what we said, even if we were tipping a couple bridges, then we're really screwing ourselves.
Right, but we still need to get the bridges.
You gotta get it fixed.
Right, so the problem is we don't ever have enough money to do the work
Get them all done.
to get them all done. So, but right now, I think when I looked, we're gonna be about, when we look at projected dollars from fiscal 22 to fiscal 23, I think our bridge funding is gonna be reduced by $40,000. And you say, well, $40,000 ain't a lot, but when you were only getting $260,000, that's a lot of money. It just slows the process of trying to build up enough funds to do anything. So, and those are just rough numbers. They're ones that I'm trying to remember in my head, whether that's what it was or not, but we're losing dollars, whether it's 40,000 or 20,000 in our budget. I think it was probably more like 20,000 because I think it was about 10%,
Right.
but we're increasing as like I said, we reduce our deficiencies square footage, then our funding also drops because they base it on deficiencies, square surface of bridge. So, but we'll see what this bridge inspection does. And if we start getting more deficient bridges square footage, then maybe next year the funding goes up again, but it's all, and then we still got the bill, the federal transportation bill. And there might be some things we can look at if they get to the point where we have to submit grants or applications for funding. And we've got some longer bridges that we can't afford to fix with our bridge funding, that we may just have to start throwing applications out there to see if we can get some. And they're not all going to be 100%. Some of them are 80-20 split as far as funding goes, where we still got to come up with 20% with our bridge funds. But I mean, these bridges that what I'm hearing from the associations and from that is the extra bridge funding that they put out there is for these bridges that are unreachable for most county, like the $2 and $3 million bridges. We don't get that kind of funding. We have to wait 10 years to build up enough funds to take care of that.
Right.
And in 10 years, how many other bridges are becoming deficient? So we're keeping an eye on what we have for bridges that are the bigger bridges that we can't afford to do, that if we can try to get some grant money or these competitive grants to do some of this stuff. So we'll keep an eye on it. There seems to be a lot of that going around. So anyway, I don't want to be the doom and gloom,
No.
but the funding is just tight. And we've been doing a lot of things to fix a lot of roads. It's maybe time to maybe exhale and see what we have, you know, with funding. Because right now we've still got some projects lined up, but when I look at my 5-year plan, I'm gonna have to thin out projects unless we start spending local dollars. But like I said, I don't think we've done any bad investing in what we've done, because we've spent money. We'll use 105 West for an example. I mean, we spent 3.2 or I can't remember. That road, we're gonna get 40 years out of it. I mean, we won't have to look at it. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good investment.
Been many years since it's been done, so.
Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So
Do we have any major big bridges on the deficient list right now?
there are some, well, I mean, we've got some that are narrow.
Right.
We don't have anything that's posted that I know of yet. I mean, when I got done talking to the engineers after they got done, they said, well, we don't have anything major that we got to close. We did have one small structure that we had to reduce half width, and
Right.
they're kind of the smaller bridges, but some of the bigger ones, we're getting to the point, we got like, the one I'm thinking of is 390th over by Raven, I think, is the one that goes over the Shell Rock.
Shut up.
And that one's a 1-lane bridge now.
Yep.
So, I mean, it could be posted, but I said, no, let's not post it. Let's just do 1 lane, because most of the time there's only one vehicle on that bridge at a time. So if we can keep the legal loads on that bridge by doing 1 lane, that's where we're at. So we're at that point now. But how many more years is it before that 1 lane posting doesn't solve our problem? And so we got to start looking at, what do we do with that bridge, you know? So
And it's fairly good sized.
it is, it's a, you know, we've got a couple of them, and I know that just, you know, the way things happen, I mean, sooner or later, we're gonna get to the point where that 1 lane posting is, that 1 lane posting the bridge can't take the 1 lane anymore.
Right.
Now we're gonna have to post it 1 lane and reduce the
And
loads.
borrow it, yeah, to certain loads.
That would be
So-
good. Get used quite a bit.
Not on that
Well,
road.
that's just the nature of the beast, and we're trying to stay on top of things. I mean, with some of those bridges like that, there's not a lot we can do to gain the loading capacity back. You know, I can't remember if that one's a steel I-beam bridge or not. I can't remember what's underneath that. But a lot of times what happens is the bridge is painted when it's first built. You try to keep up with the maintenance. Of course, there's never enough money to, you do a paint project on a bridge like that, you're talking $500,000, and $500,000 builds you another bridge somewhere else that, okay, so now where do you
Right.
Where do you?
let the bridge go? There's probably things where the certain locations of the steel beams themselves, they're rusting, so you're getting less cross-sectional area of the steel. So you got to calculate that into your load. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on, and
Right.
as things get more deteriorated, they can't take the loads. So, and of course, everything is, you're inspecting it, and you're using your best judgment on what that is, whether it's true or not. I mean,
Right.
the goal is safety of the public. So it's every year I come here and give you the doom and gloom, but there's a lot of good things out there too. But the things that are good don't cost us the money
Mhm.
as the things that are bad. So,
Right.
Exactly. So it's something.
so
Okay.
anyway, yeah. But we're gonna keep working on massaging the DOT program and make sure we get stay on top of that, I guess.
Sounds good. Yes, you got anything for Rich?
Nope, I'm good.
Right.
Good. I'm good. All right. Drainage, I don't think there was anything.
Seen any drainage? No.
My claims, didn't
Yeah,
we? Yeah. We don't have any right now, so okay.
they were emailed out.
Yeah, here email. I will take a motion to approve the claims.
Jackie said there's no claims.
No claims? I thought there was.
No, that was a detailed budget
Oh, that's right.
sheet.
Okay.
That was not claims. So
All right.
skip that one.
So there's no reports. We do have a couple payroll eligibilities here from the sheriff's office for 2 new employees. So we'll take a motion to approve the payroll eligibility or payroll, eligibility verification.
I'll motion to approve the payroll eligibility for the 2 employees.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moving second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, there's no liquor license. There is an MMP plan.
Yeah,
I will take a motion to acknowledge that.
a motion to acknowledge the manure management plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's moving second. And further discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We'll wait till 9, right? for
Yeah.
That, 15 minutes. Melissa, you on? Not, I guess we see her in a couple hours. Chris is not on today. Alan,
All right, good morning.
one.
On my phone here. First, I'd like to ask about item 18 on last week's agenda, the official newspaper. What is meant by that title?
It's for the publications of like drainage and the minutes and
Public
legal,
hearings.
yeah, public hearings, anything legal.
That's our source stuff to put any public notice or public information out.
But not really the events of what's happening during that meeting, during this meeting.
No,
That'd be up to them.
that's up to them what they publish.
Okay.
Yeah, we just use it as our public publishing.
Legal notices.
Yep.
basically.
Okay, thank you. Next would be the wind industry status. So Michael Schellenberg has been a permanent voice promoting green energy and has addressed the House Oversight Committee for its funding. He has realized that wind turbines are not the desired source for reliable green energy. Paraphrasing Michael, they can't save the planet, so don't continue letting them destroy it. Michael references test countries Germany with wind and solar and France with nuclear. Wind and solar power have made energy costs 3 times more expensive for Germany compared to France, and Germany's power is unreliable. High energy costs are a regressive tax favoring the wealthy, since it's a small portion of their expenses. Even Bloomberg believes it is time to move away from wind and solar towards more nuclear power. Nuclear is now considered the best environmentally friendly source for reliable power. Industry standards. Is there anywhere that Invenergy has installed wind turbines that currently has not implemented a wind ordinance, or at least is in the process of implementing a wind ordinance? Reputable developer contractors use terms like industry standard. Reputable developer contractors with the best products results advertise them as such and challenge others to meet their standards. The best products / results become the industry standard. Invenergy wants to start at the lowest standard or no standards for each project, so they can say they have made a concession meeting the lowest standards. No other industry can provide services at substandards. They reference the lowest standards or no standards and build from that. Deception is their standard. If the wind industry was a reputable industry, they would not require every city, county jurisdiction, or state to start from scratch with a regulatory ordinance. They would have standards or an industry standard. Wind turbine manufacturers would not keep their manufacturer data regarding recommended standards for items like noise, shadow, flicker, and setbacks confidential if they were acceptable to the affected residents. They would promote an industry standard. Iowa is already number 2 in wind power generation. Texas being number 2. I attached a table, the megawatt results, if anyone has a question. And there are a lot of websites that list the power generated by state. The turbine concrete bases. When a company develops equipment, like say a large generator step-up transformer, they design a standard concrete base that often includes anchor bolts and an anchor bolt template to accommodate for different climates or seismic zones and soil conditions. They just need to specify compactions and depths according to that area or zone. It saves everyone time and money. That sort of information should not be confidential and available to the permitting body. If wind turbine concrete bases are going to be installed in a safe, efficient, reliable manner, the county should be able to accept responsibility for their installations. Farmers are ill-equipped to deal with an unreputable developer contractor like Invenergy. In the words of Scott Adams regarding honesty and transparency, if it's not opaque, assume it's fake. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Department heads. Anything from anybody? Dan?
So is the courthouse gonna be open again then?
Not today.
We're still waiting to get it cleaned.
Yep,
Like we can clean.
But they're done with their construction then?
Demolition.
Demolition
So
is
Dirty,
done.
dirty part's done.
Okay.
So we're hoping to get the
Right.
main level cleaned out in the recorder area and then maybe clerk record area. And then once they get the rest done in the basement, then we'll get that cleaned as.
Do we get that mail from your office? Or they live? Okay.
You can come over and we'll let you go through it.
All right.
Yeah, we just kind of, with the dust and noise and everything, we kind of.
No, that's fine. I just was curious. I knew that there was some talk of it was gonna be all this week. That was gonna be.
no,
closed.
I think the assessor will be out of there most of the week, but the other two offices will try to be back.
Yeah, try to get them back in there as soon as we get it clean, we'll get them back in, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we were running on temporary heat. Or no, wait, are they running temporary heat?
Well, there's that big unit sitting by the clerk recorder.
I think they redid the starter to back up after they patched it.
They found a hole and they did get it somewhat patched, they could finally boil
Yes,
it
they
back
could
up.
run the boiler over the weekend. That was there for backup and they
Yeah.
found power and stuff there after.
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Okay. Well, they're down and they could knock the wall out and make your guys' office look better.
getting closer.
Yeah.
Either in the bathroom, outside, or in the boiler room.
The boiler.
So,
Okay, I just wondered
Yep.
what the schedule was like.
as
Yeah,
soon as we can.
basically, as soon as Brian can get somebody in there to clean it,
Yep.
then we'll get it open back
Sounded
up.
like he had that lined up though.
You
Yeah.
know, Serve Pro or somebody.
Yeah, yep, they've already been there visited once, I just don't know.
Yep.
Done something, they might not be able to get here till tomorrow, but
Okay,
hoping they can get something worked in.
rest of it should be pretty uninvasive, hopefully, just other than reconcreting it.
Right.
He said he was gonna bring in his mixer and just use Sackcrete
Yeah, just
when I
do it.
talked to him, so.
Yep.
That'd be easier than wheelbarrow and down a bunch of concrete.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
So,
yeah, we're just gonna stay on it to get it done, so.
Anybody, anything else from department heads? We're all good right now? Things are all closed?
Mark and I will be gone tomorrow down to a training in Mesa.
Okay,
And then Wednesday, all my deputies and I got recertification on CPR here.
okay,
So we'll be a little tight on having bodies available, but we'll make sure we have something available.
yeah, gotta do that too. Okay,
Teresa had a question about, we're deciding on the next step with FEH and getting things rolling on the building.
it's definitely something we gotta get on the agenda, you know, and start talking about it again. And see where we're going.
Hey, can I ask a question on the department?
Yeah.
With the safety inspections we had and we've got a lot of, we got dinged on not having the swing out doors, a lot of our doors swing in.
Okay,
Okay, so we start looking at that. Do we start, I mean, from a standpoint, I don't, we just got the door replaced, going up to the engineer's office, the room took it up to hinges, that was $1,000, now $800 and some dollars. Do we need to start investing in swing out doors for all the shops and start?
so they want to swing outdoor, what happens?
So
if-
you gotta have a
Yeah.
panic door to swing out in case of, all of our exit doors need to swing out. We have some that swing in. So do we have to take the, should we? On a safety side, I think maybe I shouldn't even ask the
That
question.
don't seem right, but that's what they want
Because
for
in the
fire.
middle of the winter time, if you're in there working and all of a sudden you had a snowstorm come through and it blows a big drift in front of the door and you have an emergency, how the heck do you get out? That's why they swing in on most homes, correct?
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
mean,
these are all.
I know this is different. but,
commercial's different, yeah, it's not, it doesn't seem right to me either, but it's,
I mean, you're.
that's the
more-
way,
yeah.
that's the way, it's really is.
So I mean, I'm not gonna ask you guys whether we should violate the security,
So can't you take them out, unscrew and turn them around?
but then we gotta put the panic bars on them. I mean, I'm not sure how ours in the office works. Our door swings out to get up the steps and then it swings in to get in the building, which I don't know if that's classified as an internal door, but shouldn't our door on the bottom have that push
Yes.
bar that?
I suppose it should.
This building just got outfitted with them, cause it didn't have them.
I
Yeah,
mean, we got a door out there now, but should we have that? I mean, if we're gonna be consistent with the safety and everything else, should it be a push bar on the outside of it? Or on the inside, I mean,
Technically, it probably should.
I'm just gonna say, we're gonna start doing some of the safety stuff that's been required. We're gonna start seeing some bills
yeah.
that we're talking bills on some pretty old buildings. You know, we're gonna put a lipstick on a pig, you know, but we need to be safe too. I understand that, but
Okay.
just so you know, we're gonna start doing some of that stuff that's recommended by the safety side of things. And it's gonna cost money, and not to say that we shouldn't, but just be aware.
Yeah, you got, I mean, certain things weren't too bad that we could update on the safety of the
You
street.
know, there's
safety.
certain things like, yeah, we know, we probably should, we had some fire extinguishers, they get inspected, the fire extinguishers get inspected, but we had some that weren't in cabinets or weren't proper height or, you know, so.
I think he had one, the guy had been through and did the facility ones, but hadn't done the vehicle ones.
Right, we had some that we needed to replace because they just weren't, I don't know if they got charged and didn't stay charged or whatever, but.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that stuff is simple enough, but we're gonna start talking about the facilities, the doors, and they're gonna, you know, now we're starting to talk about some other dollars, not to say it's.
I guess I would suggest, use good sense on, if you have a building that door, like your Kansas shop, you have a door that.
That doors, yeah.
So if it swings in, maybe that would be a good.
That one swings, the Kensett one swings out, it just needs a push bar on it. That's a good door, that's a cheap, and that building's gonna be there longer, I mean, that's.
Right. Start with those, or the
We're
ones,
talking about-
the buildings that are end of life, maybe put them on a plan
Attack.
of attack. And,
Where do you draw the
acknowledge
line?
that-
Exactly.
Acknowledge that they're wrong.
It's when we go out patching a road, where do we stop patching?
Right, the feasibility of.
Well,
But we're also talking about employee, I mean,
I got 40
Employee
door
safety.
handles that should be changed because they're not ADA compliant.
but not now, and I mean, there's certain things you just have to continue to do on a, I mean, we're gonna have to regardless, I mean, we just talked even with the piper, in best case scenarios, we get 2 winters to use that building at minimum. And, these building, anything we decide, even if we decide tomorrow, is still 18 months out.
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was gonna
You're
go, where are
looking
we
at
at
that.
with the whole
We don't know
facility
where we're at.
plan?
It's a discussion that has to continue. I mean, we can, not just the courthouse, but the secondary, I mean, that all has to be continued, but we have to find the funds and we have
The other thing
to.
I would say would be is, look at the use of the doors, if you have a door that's used high frequency use, that's not compliant, that would probably be a higher priority. If you have a door that's.
Well, I keep thinking Northwood, we got one door on one end and one on the other, and they all are, other ones are all overhead doors, so I mean.
If you have a building.
We're a little bit different in the fact that we've got more than one out of a building, if there's a fire, you.
Right. And there's a shop that has 1 or 2 people in it versus a shop that has 7 people in it, kind of prioritize that way, I guess.
Anyway, we're gonna try to keep up, but we're trying to be thrifty, but and we're trying to keep, the whole goal is to keep safety in the forefront, but still be able to afford the safety things and try to keep, we wanna keep everybody safe, I understand that, and that's the goal, we've gotta keep our people safe, the public safe, but it's so difficult to judge, where do you draw the line as to this can wait and this can't?
Well, Jackie made a good comment. We need to be showing the insurance company that we're trying to do what we can.
Yep.
That helps with rates, it helps with everything. So, I mean, we just do it. just work it in and maybe,
I mean, these are small dollars in the secondary road budget, but like I said, we're gonna invest some money into some pretty old buildings. Where do we draw the line as to, I mean, if the door was ripped off in a storm, we'd put a new door on it because we need a door. But now we're talking about whether the door swings the right way and whether it's got the right handle on it. You know, it still functions as a door to get out. So safety wise, is that a concern or not? It's just a matter of, it's easier to push a bar to go outside than it is to turn the handle when you're panicked. And
Mhm.
I'm making that decision in $40,000 worth of toilets.
White House or what?
so it's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna recess the meeting. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll motion to open the public hearing.
Second,
I'll second that.
moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion will carry. All right, we're gonna have the second reading of the.
Third.
Third reading, excuse me, yep, public hearing for the establishing election precincts. So I will open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, so hearing none, I will take a motion to close the meeting.
I'll motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those favors say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry. All right, so
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 0801-11A to establish election precincts.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved and second to pass the ordinance to establish election precincts. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I will do a roll call vote. Wilbur,
Aye.
Stone,
Aye.
Smithy, aye. The motion will carry. Thank you. Okay, so where were we here? Department heads. Was there anything else from department heads in? Okay, supervisor weeklies, Enos.
I sat in on that long-range conservation planning meeting.
Yep.
It was really informative. I thought there was a lot of good discussion between the commissioners that are sitting on the board and everybody else. And I don't really have anything to compare it to, but the way it looked to me, Worth County is doing a pretty good job as far as water and soil conservation.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one I sat in on.
Okay. AJ,
That's all I had as well. Yeah, and I agree with that too. Those guys that are on the soil conservation district are very active, the way it looks, and are very into making sure we preserve water quality around here. So yeah,
Yep.
that's a good 5-year planning meeting they had.
and I think I had the same meeting then, but I had a couple others, but anyway, one thing I suggested was, they're talking about these saturated buffers and all this stuff going forward. And some of the larger projects we're having engineered right now, it may be something, especially if there's state or federal dollars coming forward to, maybe it will be implemented into some of these structures when we do improve them. I think DD2 dumps directly into the shell rock, I'm thinking, so that might be something that wants to be discussed with Bolton and Mink and with the Soil and Water Conservation Committee, so if that would help the dollars and help the guys out in that district, it might be a good deal. So I also had security committee meeting. We just basically discussed the security plan again some more. Can't remember what else was all on there, but
the recovery, draft recovery part of it,
yeah.
what you do after the.
Oh, yes. Joel, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
no
I have talked to Jesse about the money that was allocated through some grants, and it looks like we're not going to be able to use that for PA or phone except for her office. So we've kind of got to go back to square one on some expenditures for what we were talking about for the security committee.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, and then I had Board of Health, and we did discuss the monies there that day too, for some of the monies Jesse's got to work with. I went over her proposed budget a little bit, I guess, and I think that was about it. So all those things will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So
I know another thing that was brought up in some emails is COVID policy.
Yep.
And I did see an email just came through from Jesse. I didn't read it all.
Oh, I
I
didn't see
glanced
that
at
yet,
it,
so,
but
okay.
we probably do need to get some sort of,
At least discussion on this.
Yeah.
Work with Jesse on this and the state regulations and all that good
'Cause it's-
stuff.
it's, everybody's got to decide, we're just got to get it figured out. It's not going away anytime soon.
So,
We need to try to protect people, so we don't clear out the offices like we
did
feared
last week.
before.
Yep,
We had really had fear before, we treated it right and our offices never closed. We want to continue to do that, so we need to probably have that discussion next week.
Yep.
And I think we'll do that in the department heads, with
I
the
think so.
department heads, so if you can join us
Join us,
one way or the other,
hopefully.
Zoom or in person.
whole healthy crew back here, hopefully.
Because as we all know, it's everybody's kind of in charge of their own people and
Yep,
need to make sure they follow the policies as well. Although not everybody has to follow our policies, but it would just be nice if they considered it.
well, they can actually put that into their policy handbooks themselves. I
Correct,
mean, if they
yeah.
want, would they wish or don't wish, I guess that's up to them, but, I think at least countywide and, elected official wise, our departments need to be on the same page and the rest of them hopefully will follow along with that, so. Yeah, I agree, AJ. Get that on the agenda for some discussion next week, which might do, we'll have time to work that in for budget, so.
We will work it in before budget.
Yep, there you go. All right. Okay, I can't think of anything. Oh, I forgot. I did go to the 4-H banquet last night. I thank the supervisors in the county for what we do to help them out. They got some pretty good plans coming up for the fair. It sounds like they're working on some new entertainment, some old entertainment, and I really appreciate all the work those guys do for the fair. They put a lot more time in than I realize. So it's much appreciated, so. So we do have, we'll all meet up today with Melissa with North Betco. I think that's it for now. Farm Bureau's on there, all that's on there, so I think we're good. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Did you see the 27th?